Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies, a podcast where we discuss all things related to the Happier and Happier in Hollywood podcasts.
We're sisters
and super fans
who can't get enough happier.
So we created our own podcast to keep the conversation going.
I'm Malika Amandi, a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a new mom, and an entrepreneur. I'm here with my sister, Azizi Williams.
That's me. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a not-so-new mom, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world. In this episode, we continue with part 2 of our Festival of Style.
But first, we are in Philadelphia together.
Yay!
Yay! So we're recording in our hotel room in separate locations. So the audio might sound a little bit different this week. That's why.
Just tell them I'm in the bathroom, Malika.
Okay. Zizi's in the bathroom.
A bunch of pillows. I'm in the bathroom. That's how you know we're professional.
So you came in like late last night, like at 1:30 a.m. or 2 a.m. And of course I woke up and gave you a hug. And the first thing you said to me was, "Oh my goodness, you're so tall."
I haven't seen you in a long time. I felt like you've grown since the last time I saw you.
I promise I haven't grown, but it's just so funny. It's like, that's what you say to people who you see on Zoom all the time when you meet for the first time. You're like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were tall, but you're my sister."
But we have a Zoom relationship now.
So true.
But it was really nice having breakfast with you, Malika, and just to have sister time is fun.
Yes, I'm excited. It's going to be brief. It's just one day, really, or not even a whole day, but I'm excited to hang out with you.
Me too. What happened on Happier this week, Malika?
On Happier and More Happier, episode 487, Liz and Gretchen talk with author Anne Lamott about her book, Somehow, and other topics related to writing. In More Happier, they continued discussing their upcoming hiking trip in England. They talked about how to get into a lighthearted subject, and Gretchen announces a project about her open door experience. I love Anne Lamott, and I have read some of her other books over the year, but haven't gotten into Somehow yet. But Azizi, you listened to the audiobook. What were some of your takeaways?
It was such a beautiful book, Malika. I did not know Anne Lamott before she was announced on Happier. I hadn't followed her writing, so this was my first introduction. And I think I talked last week about how I had a 1-week checkout from the library for the audiobook, so I had to get it all in. And it was so beautiful. It was great to hear her voice and her inflection, and I feel like I really got to know her through the book. And of course, the passages were very personal, but there are a few quotes that will stick with me that I had to just like listen to kind of over and over again. One of them is she's just kind of describing getting through a difficult time or period where you don't have control over things. And she said someone told her once that in the morning they say, whatever. And then when they go to bed at night, they say, oh, wow. I really appreciated that. Just as a reminder of like, yeah, you don't really have a whole lot of control about the way things happen, and try not to have it sit with you forever and ever. So that's definitely something that I'll think about. Another thing that she said was, if you want to have loving feelings, then you have to do loving things, which is so simple and so profound, but really speaks to the effort. You have to be intentional about doing loving things, and that then, brings loving feelings into your life, into the life of others. I thought that was a really beautiful quote.
That's good. That reminds me of Gretchen's chapter in the Happiness Project, where she's like being incredibly loving to Jamie for a full week. Do you remember that section?
Yeah, no, I do remember how effortful that was to do. But then, of course, the results are impactful for everyone.
Yeah.
When you do make those efforts, it's good to have all kinds of reminders about making those kinds of efforts in our lives. She talked quite a bit in one chapter. It was really dedicated to a mistake that she made and the shame that she felt from that mistake, and how she continued to feel shame at different points. And she talked about having a shame protocol. And I thought this is so essential for all of us to have, just to have a list of things that you can do or use when you're in that dark place for whatever
Mm,
reason. And it included like who to call,
mm.
to take a walk, maybe there's a song. It's something that I want to think about having a list of just go-to things to do when I'm feeling blue for whatever reason.
I think that's really smart because I feel like shame is one of those negative feelings that we all experience, but as Brene Brown has illuminated, we don't really talk about and we're not comfortable thinking through or kind of accepting that it's a normal part of our human experience. And so having some kind of a protocol really, I feel like just will not only help you cope with it, but also bring it down in terms of what it means that you're experiencing shame.
Right. And she talked about it so bravely, and it's interesting because when you put a label on something, that makes it easier to understand. And so I think it is a helpful label to sort of name, oh, why am I feeling this way? Oh, this is what it is. Then you can know, okay, what can I do now? Now that I know what it is that I'm feeling, this is what I can do. And I can't remember if it was Brene Brown, but when you really care about something, and then you make a mistake, it makes it hurt even more because you care so much about that thing. And she talked so beautifully and so openly about this mistake that she made and the amount of work that it's taken for her to sort of make amends, but also feel good about herself. And that's not something you hear people talk about. As you said, it's not something that is discussed. And so that was something that I really appreciated. Another thing that I appreciated was I think she was talking about when in some interaction with her son and his parenting. I think that's when this passage came up, but it's wait, which is why am I talking? To keep you from talking so much or from like intervening, maybe slow down a little bit and think, is this a time where I should be talking? So that was like a handy little acronym that I will keep with me.
That's a good one.
And then, Malika, right after I read Somehow, I jumped into a book called Be Useful by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's kind of like, on the surface, it's the opposite of this book somehow. But actually, in this book, Be Useful, Arnold Schwarzenegger is talking about things that he loves and how to give back to people
Mm.
and how to accomplish your goals or your dreams, the things that you love to do, how to go about doing it. He's got, of course, completely different strategies and a different approach. But I found some themes to be very similar there. So it was just funny to contrast these two different authors and just about the universality of the topic of, how to follow your heart.
That's funny how books play off of each other that way. And it's just kind of serendipity that you read them in that order. You might be the only person in history to do it that way, but like it made both of those books kind of mean more to you.
Yeah, isn't that a book pairing? Isn't that interesting? I was not at all intentional, but I will always think of them together. It's really funny. I'd love a conversation between Arnold and Anne Lamont. Maybe we can have a panel.
So in their interview, they talked a lot about writing because Anne Lamott is a prolific writer and she wrote a very kind of seminal book on writing called Bird by Bird. And there were a lot of things she was sharing about her writing process and writing in general that reminded me of class that you and I both took at different times. Shout out to Terry Silverman of Creative Rights, RITES, in the Los Angeles area. She does writing workshop for personal narrative, memoir, solo shows. And I did several rounds of her course. And I think you did one or two. And I was reminded of her because she always does a one-off workshop around the holidays to help people capitalize on their memories because that is such a rich time of our kind of personal traumas and discoveries. And we often do remember things quite young from around the holidays. And so it's a really rich time to think about in order to delve into writing. What do you remember from Terry's class, Azizi?
You recommended Terry to me because I was trying to apply to graduate school and I was just having a block about writing about myself. it didn't feel right to write about myself. And you're like, oh, you need to take this class. And, it feels like it's for Hollywood people or for writers or performers, and that I'm an administrator. That's not my path. However, the ability to tell your story and to articulate, moments in your life is something that we can all benefit from. And she is such a patient, kind, determined teacher
Mhm.
who, lives and breathes this work, helping people draw out the stories. And the thing that I really appreciated is there's some creative prompts, there's time to write, and then you read out loud. It's for the purpose of sharing your story verbally. It's not for the purpose necessarily of submitting a written work. So you get critiqued from everyone in the class. They tell you what was interesting, what drew them in, what they wanted to know more about. That's priceless feedback that you don't get if you're just writing in a silo or, or in a vacuum. So I loved it. And then at the end, there's a showcase where everyone shares the story that they worked on in the class. I don't know if that's the case for all of them, but that was the case for the one that I was in. And that was a big moment for me also. Malika, I was thinking it's time for me to go back to Terry because now
Ooh,
in this new position that I'm in, it's, monthly, I have to share a story or say address a crowd. And I am just out of ideas. I need to channel some things. I think I might sign up for a class again.
that's great. It was so fun to see your performance. And I do love that aspect too of reading it out loud. And I think that's something that's useful for any kind of writing. And often in the work that I'm doing now with students, I'm helping them write cover letters. And I always ask them to read it out loud, not to me necessarily, but in general. I think people think, why would I ever read a cover letter out loud? But it can really help your writing when you recognize how things sound, and
Hmm.
there's something of yourself that comes out when you actually put words on voice. So I think that's just such a great tool that we have and a thing that could help your writing.
I agree.
On More Happier, Gretchen asked about kind of how do you develop interest in something trivial or lighthearted that you can follow. And she was kind of asking Liz, like, do you think I could develop an interest in the Knicks or the Real Housewives? And they had a really fun conversation about it. And it made me realize that for us, our kind of lighthearted thing that we follow is happier and more happier and happier in Hollywood.
This is true.
We made a whole podcast around it. But that for us is like the thing that is changing a little bit week to week, and we can check in on it. And, the stakes aren't incredibly high for us, but it's very satisfying to have that thing to follow. And there's a couple YouTubers that you and I both watch. The main one is Alexandra Rodriguez that I think, did I tell you about her or vice versa?
Oh,
I
you
can't.
told me about her for sure.
Okay. But I guess I started following her maybe in 2020. And like, this is someone who I feel like I'm in her life 3 times a week for the last 4 years, who I've never met, but I like watching her, clean her kitchen and try on clothes and her life developments. And there is something just so comforting about being connected to something for that long. And I think we're in an age where that is really possible because of the internet and people's willingness to share and reveal their lives. But I understand where Gretchen's coming from in terms of wanting that. I've even thought that for myself about sports in particular. Like I have a friend who's into football and like she loves going to a bar to watch a football game. And that's something that she can do wherever she is in the country. Just plop down at a bar and like be a part of a community, right? So I understand that drive. What's your relationship to something lighthearted, Azizi?
I agree with all of those things that you said. I think the drawback to something like Alexandra Rodriguez, for example, is that there's not a huge community of other people. Like we don't benefit from the
Right.
community part of it. You and I are a community and we benefit from
Yes.
it. But there aren't, it's not like a sports game, like in your a sports game. That's funny. In your
Exactly. Sports ball.
sports, your example of your friend, they can go and immediately be with a community of other people who share the passion. So I definitely get that with Disney, which find a way to talk about in every episode, I'm realizing. But there is certainly community, and there are also YouTubers, and there's also, a place you visit. It's the most lighthearted. And I think that's why I've allowed myself to kind of go down this rabbit hole because it's just so happy. But I've also thought about, I kind of want to get into WNBA.
Okay.
I'm so close. We go to maybe a game a year. It's a moment right now with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And it's a whole thing. And it's so easy that there's not a big barrier to get involved. So it just would require me showing up more and
Mhm.
tracking a little more. But I think that could be fun.
Do you think you would get into the stats?
No, but I will tell you when I get into, because there was a period of time when I was living at home with mommy and daddy. And of course, they're huge Laker fans,
Yeah.
huge Laker fans. Mommy listens to sports radio every day. That's like her YouTuber. She'll tell me all
Yeah.
about the lives of the people talking about the sports on XM radio and things like that. So there was a time when I got into Lakers, but I was more into the personal stories, like who are they married to
Mm.
and who are their kids, and their relationship, the story, the drama between the teammates and things like that. So that's what I would get into. I would get more into sort of their backstory. Where do they come from? And, who do they get along with? What are they wearing? There's this whole, oh, Malika, don't get me started. There's this whole tunnel fashion thing. Have you heard of this?
No.
You watch what the players wear when they get out of their cars and go
Oh.
into the locker room. It's like a fashion show now. Like it's
Oh,
a moment
wow.
where the athletes know they're going to be photographed. And so they lean into it. Anyway, I could do that. So I think maybe this is going to go on my 25 list is follow the WNBA.
I might want to get in with you on that because I like
Okay.
watching basketball. Like when I watch live sports, basketball is very exciting. I don't know if I could commit to every game, but I do like the idea of women's tunnel fashion.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's think more about this. So they talked about their upcoming trip to England and this walking experience they're going to have through rain and, weather and fields. And it sounds so lovely. And what an exciting time for Gretchen and Liz. And of course, last week we talked about comfort or adventure, was it? I can't remember what the other
Yeah.
one was. And I just so happened to read an article in Real Simple magazine about how to have a micro adventure. I thought,
Ooh, what's a micro adventure?
a micro adventure is sort of one step or a thing you can do for a day, sort of going outside of your comfort zone in an intentional way, but without, having to spend a lot of money or without a lot of effort. So they talked about, you know, trying a new cuisine, a new restaurant in a new part of town, that kind of thing. So maybe this is something we can think about a little bit more, Malika, and come back to.
I mean, we're doing a food tour today. That's kind of a micro adventure.
I would put that in the category of micro adventure, absolutely, because it's in a town we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about Gretchen's project coming up about Open Door because I have an open door coming soon in my life. I have one more year with my daughter who's a senior this upcoming year. And then my two daughters will both be out of the house. And so I'm going to absolutely follow along with Gretchen, read whatever she writes about this topic, get all the advice I can, because this will be me. And everything she said, as far as how different people approach it differently and have different
Mm,
feelings around it, that all resonates with me because I'm feeling all the feelings.
mm.
Excited about it, what to do. And of course, I'm, newishly married. And so that means that, we can get to know each other in a different way, but also sad. It's so sad
Yeah.
also. So I could use some guidance.
It's funny. My, most recent reference point of this was when I went to college when I was the youngest.
Right.
And mommy was definitely going through something. And I think daddy was too. But because of where I was, emotionally and maturity wise, I did not care at all. And I was kind of like, what are they talking about? Like as you are when you're 17, 18, like it just didn't make any sense to me. And I didn't really respect it. Now as a parent, at the very beginning of the journey, like I can only imagine, obviously things are going to happen over the next decade and a half, but now I can see, wow, they were really going through something. And I can see like that is a huge shift and change when you've been pouring things into these people and then they leave your house. So I'm sorry, mommy, that I didn't understand then.
I mean, but what are you supposed to do?
I
It's
mean, there
your,
for me to do. Like that's normal developmental behavior, but it's just interesting because I remember the feeling of like, why are they talking about this? Or
yes. But
you
did you
know?
feel anything when I left for college?
I think you were already gone
Yeah,
that way.
that's also true. And that's what happens, right?
As Liz said, her
Yeah,
mom said,
yeah,
you would had gone before you had gone.
it's true.
All right, Azizi, what happened on Happier in Hollywood?
On Happier in Hollywood, episode 371, Sarah and Liz share a story about encouragement. They give advice to a listener on how to feel with a difficult work situation, and they share recommendations on a foot helper and a comedy special. When they were talking about receiving this message of encouragement that a colleague of theirs shared with another colleague of theirs who they had been mentoring, the thing I took away from it was, wow, he did all of that on a text message and how
Mm,
it's still impactful. It doesn't have to be so formal. It could just be a well-written text message. That is such an easy thing to do and to offer. I have on my list for 24, write a letter to a mentor. And I, in my head, was thinking this needed to be a well written letter that I put in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and send it in the mail.
interesting.
And now I'm thinking differently, which, could make it more likely to happen.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, what stood out to me was that their friend, who they respect and who happened to read one of their mentees' work, connected to them about the fact that he'd encouraged their mentee. So I like this idea of kind of pulling in another person who is invested into somebody else's success, and like the mentee wasn't really even involved in the interaction, but it made me just think of the power of like having a community of people invested in a person and how that's kind of really exciting and meaningful for them to connect over like, yeah, this person's work is great. I support them and you
Mm-hmm.
support them too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a lot of experiences of that right now, but the closest thing I could think of is maybe like if Leia or Sanai, my nieces, did something really wonderful that I was excited about, or if I encouraged them. I think this has happened where like I maybe read Ilea's personal statement or something and then told you like, oh my gosh, it was so good. Like your child is amazing, because we both are invested in her success and want to celebrate that and talk about it.
Yeah, no, I can remember with both daughters a moment where someone gave me feedback about them and they didn't have to. And it really struck me. One of those times was with Ilea after she took her first driver's ed class, where you have to get so many hours behind the wheel with the driving instructor. And so it was like a Sunday morning. They went off for a couple of hours. And when they came back, Ilea got out of the car. You have done a good job. It was like,
Wow.
oh, like I did not expect it. That's the last place I expected to get that kind of feedback. And it was like, she didn't have to say that. She was not getting tips or anything like that. She didn't have to share, and she did. And it felt
Mm,
really good. And that has happened with both of my daughters, and it does feel good when it happens. So it's sort of a reminder to me to be more encouraging. Not to be more
mhm.
encouraging, but going back to something we've talked about before, which is the seeing yourself as a mentor and giving encouragement, that
Yeah.
everyone needs encouragement. So finding more ways and more opportunities to be intentionally encouraging to others is something that I'm taking away.
Mhm.
So Malika, do you have a lunchtime Zoom group?
I do not. These days, I usually eat lunch alone. That's my like solo time to do whatever my romantic lunch
That's important.
entails.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I did during the pandemic. And then even since I moved, but before, when I was in my kind of fully remote coaching world, I was a part of a Zoom happy hour that met once a month of other coaches. And that was really good. It was just nice to have, again, that standing date of having some community. We all had different focuses, but like similar lifestyles. And so it was nice to be able to connect on that level. But I don't have anything like that now. What about you?
The only thing I could think of was there's a professional group that meets on Wednesdays over Zoom that is run by sort of the California Association of People in My Role. And there's different topics, and sometimes there's no topics, and it's just sort of share what questions you have. But that's not the same, I realized. What they were talking about is a
Hmm.
social connection, like a friend.
Yes.
And also, they were talking about having a standing meeting time, which removes decision fatigue, and doing it
Hmm.
over Zoom, which also removes barriers to, finding the time. So it was very inspiring. It made me think of different ways that I could maybe do this or host or set up with a few friends times to connect in a regular way.
Hmm.
I liked it.
At the end of the episode, Sarah gave a recommendation for Tig Notaro's special. I think she said it's on Amazon Prime. Hello again. And I love Tig Notaro. She's hilarious. She's just got such a specific voice that's so like deadpan and just, yeah, it hits. It really hits. And I'm just going to say that I once auditioned for a Tig Notaro show
Oh,
on Amazon
oh, wow.
Prime. I didn't get to meet her, nor was I cast, but that is a very tenuous link I can claim.
You practically know her.
We text every night before bed.
Wow.
I don't know her, but she's really funny and I can't wait to watch it.
I did listen to a couple of interviews on Conan O'Brien's podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And he had Tig on 2 or 3 times now. And it is the most hilarious thing you have ever heard because Conan has got this big, brash kind of comedy personality. He's also self-deprecating at times, but Tig is the only one who could like knock him down a notch and completely dominate, but with as few words as possible. That's what I love about Tig is that she's such a minimalist with how much effort and energy she exerts, but it is so sharp and biting and just the right timing. I love it. Yeah, I'm a fan. And she was on The Office. Did you know that?
What? When was that?
That's the most random thing. She was a guest on one of the episodes. She played, okay, Office fans, the mom of the daughter who beat up Andy in the parking lot. So if you know, you know. But
Oh
I
man, that's
didn't
a deep
recognize
cut.
it was her until I think she talked about it on Conan, and I went back and was like, wow, that was her.
Oh man, I got to go back and watch that.
It was a funny story because she talked about how they asked her, like, hey, could you put more energy into it? And she was like, no. It's really good.
That's funny. All right, well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will resume with our Festival of Style. Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready-to-go online cart.
Oh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the Prep Dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family-friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Okay, we're back with Festival of, where we go into great detail about a particular subject. And our subject today is style continued because we're going into even more detail about it. There were so many details, we couldn't fit it all into one episode. So we're going to jump right in. And Malika, if you had to pick a personal style symbol, what would it be?
Okay, so they discussed this on Happier in Hollywood. of somebody having a symbol that was like on all of their different clothes, and just kind of, it was a thing that they did. And I feel like for me, I was really searching here, but the one symbol that I really like, and this is like one of the things that I've considered getting a tattoo of. I don't have any tattoos yet, but if I got one, I would put this in it. And it's a triangle, which is very simple, just three sides.
Kind of like Sesame Street.
Not like Sesame Street,
Okay.
but I like the symbol of the triangle because I like the Greek letter delta, which means change. And one of my favorite mantras is everything is always changing and so am I, or I am always changing and so is everything else. And so I really like what it stands for, and that also it's just an elegant shape. So I'll try this out. You know, I don't actually own many triangular things at this point. So I'd have to figure out, how am I going to work this in? But I did notice that I have some earrings that have like a triangular shape, and I have a pretty round face, and I think the angle kind of contrasts my features nicely. So maybe this will live in earrings and jewelry. Like I could see getting a nice triangle lapel pin that I could work into different outfits. So I think it will be subtle, but it means something to me. And I like that.
Wow, that works on so many different levels. Oh my God, actually, I'm kind of impressed. So I thought about this also, and I like flowers. And I decided mine will be the California poppy. I
Okay.
actually do have a tattoo of a poppy, and so does my daughter. It's something that we see on our walks when we're together. I love California. It represents all of that. And I was inspired by Drew Barrymore. I think she said hers was a daisy. I think that came up in the interview that she had with Gretchen and Liz. So I don't have anything else with poppies on them, but I do see them around. So I don't think it will be that difficult to find a few more things and incorporate them. And I'm sure they have a lovely meaning. I'm sure there's some symbolism there. So that's work for me to do. I'm going to look into it, see all of those things. But yeah, I think I'm going to try to lean into more California poppies.
I like it. So another question that came up on Happier in Hollywood was, actually, I don't know that they asked this question, but it came out of a hack, and we asked the question, what makes you feel instantly put together? So when you are leaving the house, you don't have a lot of time, what are the things that you can do? The one thing or the couple things that immediately you feel like, okay, I've put in some effort and I look good.
Right, the pulled together part. So for me, definitely a blazer, but it's funny because I don't wear them that often. I think this is an area I need to expand. I think I need different weights because it tends to be quite hot, in Los Angeles. And so I end up wearing a cardigan, but cardigans don't make me feel as put together as blazers. So I need more options there. Definitely lipstick, like a red lipstick immediately makes me feel put together. And I don't often wear makeup or a lot of makeup, but I will put on lipstick. And then I have these chunky metal watch bands that I started wearing last year with my iWatch. And it just makes me feel so put together when I have it. So I would say that's it for me. What about you, Malika?
Well, first I have to say on the watch bands, they do make you look put together. I've noticed them.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm like, oh, she looks really put together.
It's very simple.
Like, oh, her watch is very fancy, or not fancy, but it just feels like kind of weighty and like a real watch in a way that often iWatches don't give that vibe,
Can I tell you about it? When I started wearing it, right now I have a gold one, but I started with the black one. And it's so hilarious. It was something I gave to my husband as a gift. And after a year of him not wearing it, I said to him,
back.
I would like to wear this. And he said, go ahead. And so I wore a man's metal watch band and the extra large iWatch. But I loved it. I instantly loved it. So if I was buying it for myself, I would not have bought it, which is so funny. But then because I had it and I just started wearing it, I immediately loved it. So that goes to like stepping outside of just what's feminine or female, trying all the things.
That's one of Tan France's tips in his style masterclass. There's a section on going shopping and he kind of recommends go into the other section. If you identify as a man, go into the women's section and vice versa, because really style doesn't need to be confined to those labels. And often you'll be inspired and find something different in the other section, which I
Yeah.
never do, but now I will.
Maybe I will more often. Yeah. What makes you feel put together, Malika?
So for me, I think it is black eyeliner and or false eyelashes, which we've discussed before, and I don't wear them nearly enough, but when I do, I'm like, wow. But it does take some effort to put them on. Eyeliner is a little bit easier, but if I put on eyeliner and some blush and dangly earrings, I feel like whatever else I'm wearing, that I look like I'm going somewhere.
There's nothing like a good dingly earring. And you know what? It's also sensory. Like if you can
That's
feel it or you
true.
can hear it a little bit too. Yeah, I get that for sure.
I definitely feel like I would need to step more into earrings. This is my earring era. And
Mm.
I have some good ones, which honestly, mostly are gifts from Norm. Shout out to Norm. He's a good
Oh,
jewelry
nice.
gift giver. But I think as my clothing choices are becoming more neutral, that is a way I can bring in whimsy and like expression through earrings.
Well, there's a lot of material
There's a
there.
world there. Yes.
There's a whole world there. So, Malika, coming to the end of our Festival of Style, do you have any hacks or recommendations you want to share?
Okay. So I tried using AI to help me as a style tool, and it was very effective. So I used ChatGPT. I asked it to describe the style of the character Bree Sheridan from Virgin River. As I mentioned, that's one of my style icons. And it gave me a really good description. And then I asked, where can I buy clothes online in this style that are plus size? And then it gave me a bunch of stores, and I felt like I want to go further. And so I asked it, can you tell me what to get from these stores? Or like, can you tell me what outfits I can create? And it actually gave outfit combinations, like wear this shirt with this pants. And then I asked it for images, which revealed the limits of my subscription level. So it did produce
And then you hit a
images.
wall.
I hit a wall. It produced images, but you needed to be the paid version.
Mm.
But even that amount, that would have taken me a lot of Googling to get there. And that was like a 5-minute interaction, where I got from icon to like actual outfit ideas and where to buy them in my size. So I think this is really just scratching the surface, but I was quite pleased with just having that kind of brainstorming tool to make using the internet so much more effective.
I would have never in a million years thought about doing any of this. It just reminds me of how in our lives you have always been my tech muse. You've always been the one to try the thing first and say like, hey, there's a thing called Facebook, Azizi, you should try it. And also it makes me think about maybe we need to do a festival of AI.
Oh,
This is
interesting.
fascinating. I definitely want to give it a try. I don't have a relationship with AI in that way, but I think that's really cool.
What are some of your hacks?
Actually, I don't have hacks, I have recommendations. So one of them is a company I found for eyeglasses. So I, went through the traditional route. This was last year, at the optometrist, picking up the glasses. I got the glasses and then I didn't love them. And I'd already spent all
Mm.
this money. And then I learned about Zlol. I don't even remember how. It was probably an Instagram ad. Zlol is Zeellol, and it's an online place to get glasses, and they are so cheap. The frames are so cheap, and because they are so cheap, I felt like I could play around a little bit, and I could buy 2
Mm.
pairs. Usually buying a pair of glasses was like a once every 2 years event because of the cost, but you can get some frames for like $30 or $40 and you just put in your prescription. They have these virtual ways of trying on glasses. And then I ended up with this bold sort of Jenna Lyons style frame, which I wouldn't have picked it out normally, but I loved it. And then I went back and bought some sunglasses. So I recommend it. Now, a little word about sustainability and all of that. This is not excellent in that world of things. So just beware, but it is accessible. And for glasses, which not everyone, but if you need them, having access to, more than one pair is a good thing, I think.
That's great. I want to say that your glasses are fabulous. And I like the ones that you wear most of the time, the black
Yes.
frames. And I like the other ones that are a little bit different colors. It's very bold and it feels fashion forward. I approve.
Thank you. Again, because I went for a more funky pair that had a different shape than I'd ever worn. And also I got them as transitions so I can wear them inside or outside.
Smart.
And it's fun. So I'm looking forward to maybe changing up my glasses with seasons. The other recommendation I have is for a sweater that I found on Amazon. I am not the type to buy things in multiple colors, but I found a sweater and it works so well. And they have so many colors that I now own 3. And it's like a very soft crew neck sweater that it looks more expensive than it is. It's a part of the Amazon Essentials line. And I got one in, I think, black, navy blue, and cream. So
Wow.
I will
Is it
put
long?
the link
Button
there.
up?
No, it's not. It looks like saying cashmere might be too far, but it's that kind of knit sweater that's kind of
Okay.
a little bit fuzzy, but it's just so soft. It feels good to wear and it's light. So it's not super heavy. It's not really for the summertime, I would say, but it's not so heavy that you couldn't wear it mostly during the year. And it just has a nice way that it hangs. I've washed it and it holds up. So anyway, I will put a link in our episode description to this sweater. I loved it.
Very nice. So I have one last hack, which is if you're going on vacation, to pick a motif for the vacation. So a look for that amount of time. This is something that my friend Sabina and I did when we went to Italy last year. We just had to talk about it when we were like, what are you packing? What are you packing? We're like, what are you wearing? And Sabina's like, I'm going for stripes, like big, bold stripes. And I think she said black and white. We just had a conversation. And so I was like, okay, yes, I got that. I got that. And because of it, our photos look amazing. It looks like we are in the same catalog. And it's a small thing, but it made it feel, again, a little bit elevated. This is not practical for every vacation. You have to consider where you're going and what you're doing and also who you're going with, because is it a motif if it's just you? I don't know, like if that would stand out, but because it was the two of us, Norm and Indigo were also on the trip. They were not included in this. Although I think Indigo had a striped onesie that we had him in a couple times. So it's just like another layer to add on top of a fun experience, is to coordinate your style. And I think we definitely have done this with our family reunions. Like we have a banquet or dinner and everybody is encouraged to wear a certain thing. So I think the last reunion, it was like diamonds and denim was the theme.
Do you remember that? I had a Pinterest board of diamonds and denim.
I mean, it's fun when you come into a room and everybody has the same elements of the same palette on it. It feels like kind of decor. It really creates a vibe. So it's fun to do. And you could do it on a big scale or on a smaller scale with just a couple people.
So for our reunion coming up, it's, Summer of Soul. We're going to be in our nation's capital. Should our motif be red, white, and blue?
Oh, well,
Go patriotic.
that's not
Think
a bad
about
idea.
Think about it. All right.
We should check in with the president.
All right, our mom. See if she's in. We have to find out what color the reunion t-shirts are.
Yeah.
So that will help.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
All right, Azizi. So we've done this whole style investigation, exploration. What are your next steps from here?
Well, it's already started, but full purge. I have to go full purge now. I'm a whole different person. So
Wow.
I'm going to reevaluate what I have and take out anything that doesn't fit with my aesthetic or that I don't feel like I had use for and make space, make a little bit of space. I'm still in the search for a good crossbody bag. I have a hard time with purses. I don't know why. I can't bring myself to buy them and I need them. So that is on my list. I want to now really have a robust mood board to use when I go shopping because it just feels like I have rules now and it's a little bit freeing. And I'm also thinking about, do I need a leather jacket or a faux leather jacket? I don't know. Do you have a leather jacket, Malika?
I do. I have a couple. I think both of them I got from thrift stores.
Do you ever wear
So
them?
there's one that I do wear, one I don't wear as much, but they're handy staples. The one that I have from a thrift store, I think you were with me when I got it.
Mm.
It's leather or something that looks like leather, but on the shoulders, it's like a fabric stretchy material. So it works together. It's not totally leather, but it
Yeah.
looks like it gives the same structure, but it's actually more comfortable and like has more movement.
Yeah.
So it's a good staple.
I'm going to look into this. I need more outerwear, casual or work options. So I'm going to keep thinking about that. What are your next steps, Malika?
So I also want to kind of really curate a mood board on Pinterest. I have a kind of my style board that I've been adding to since the beginning of Pinterest. I think it's one of the default boards. So it's got so much on there that it's not really useful as a tool. So I think I need to start one for like, who am I today? What is the look I'm going for now? I also would like to continue on the shoe journey. So I feel like I need a formal shoe that fits and is comfortable. And then also like a business casual shoe. I did manage to find like a sandal that worked for this conference, but I don't think that will work in the winter time. So I'm moving into shoes, and then I would like to do an accessories upgrade. This doesn't have to happen all at once, but especially now that I have this symbol in mind, thinking about how I can incorporate that and put more thought into the accessories that I have that I want to wear.
Nice.
All right. So final kind of top level takeaways from our conversation and also from our watching the masterclass by Tan France. What do you have to say about style, Azizi?
Well, so this is something that Tan said, which is make an effort every day, which I do, but I think I could put a little more into it. So I'm definitely thinking about what I can do on a daily basis that feels like I am being intentional about what I put on. What about you, Malika?
Yeah, connected to that, he said a few times, be the reason that you're happy. And I think that that is just a good sentiment in any category of life to take responsibility for your own happiness and acknowledging that style is a really simple and practical way to do that. If you know that wearing something or putting in that effort makes you feel good and makes you feel happy, only you can make yourself do that, right? So do it. I really like knowing that that's something within my control that I can activate when I want to.
Yes. And I'm taking away that style evolves. And I think there should be a regular way of checking in on your style or on your clothes, just some sort of cadence, a time that reminds you that it's time to sort of take stock of what you have and figure out what you need or what you want to get rid of. And so I was thinking about the calendar of catalysts, and is there sort of a date that would make sense for this? And so we were thinking the equinox, the fall and the spring might be the right time as the seasons begin to change to take stock of what you have and if you need to make any changes or shifts. And this actually lines up also with Fashion Week in New York, September and February. So you can also be inspired by what's coming out. What are people pulling together? What's coming down the runway? Yeah, and act accordingly. So I think I want to add this to my calendar 2 dates a year to think about what I have and what I need.
Azizi, let's make a plan to talk about Fashion Week in September.
Let's do it. I did watch a show in September because they stream them now, and it's so fun. So the other thing I'm taking away, Malika, honestly, is that fashion is fun for me.
Yeah.
I forgot how much fun it is to think about fashion. But I think you have had the biggest journey here, right? Like coming as a new mom into
True.
this discussion and being really intentional, taking yourself to the store. So, what do you think about your evolution?
I don't know. I mean, I think I had never thought of style in this way before from so many different angles. So I feel like I have a foundation for the first time. And I really liked the 3 words and thinking about the intentionality of it. I do still feel like I'm in the middle of it.
Hmm.
Now I have some things. I actually went shopping, so I'm still kind of testing stuff out, but
Mhm.
it's great to have so many different questions to think about things. So I feel like as my style does continue to evolve, I have a framework to fall back on to ask good questions and kind of keep up.
I love that. And as we started, at the beginning, sharing that what you wear makes you feel a certain way and it makes others feel a certain way about you.
Yeah.
So it is worth it to take the time to think deeply about it because we're sending a message to ourselves and to others about who we are through our fashion. So I love this journey and I'm excited to continue it.
Yay. All right. Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will share our peaks and valleys.
We are back with peaks and valleys because in life there are always peaks and valleys. And this week it's Malika's turn to start with a peak.
So my peak goes to you, Azizi, because you gave me a style stipend, I'll call it. I told you that I was going to finally go shopping, and you gave me a generous gift certificate to one of the stores that I was going to. And that's just so wonderful. And it did kind of give me more freedom to just try things on and definitely to get more than I would have gotten otherwise. So I just want to thank you for being so kind of with me on this journey and so encouraging. And I don't really have anybody else in my life. I think my mother, but on a pure level, that's really encouraging me to invest in my fashion or invest in my style, So I really appreciate that feedback and the money.
You're welcome, Malika. It was so perfect. I was trying to think of what to give you for your birthday. You have a big milestone birthday coming up in a week. Or not.
Wait, so was that my birthday present?
It said happy birthday on the
Oh.
gift card. Did you not see that?
Somehow I missed that or I blocked it out.
It was in the email.
Okay, well, still.
Yes, it was your birthday present. And it was a perfect opportunity because you were going to the store and I wanted to make sure that you could get the most out of it. So happy birthday, Malika.
Thank you. What's your valley, Azizi?
So my valley, you know, I am privileged. My family's privileged in that we are getting to have these travel adventures. And it just so happened that they all converged on the same weekend. So
Mm.
my oldest daughter is coming back from Costa Rica. I was coming to Philadelphia. My youngest daughter is going to New York. All the solo travel, and it all was happening in the same few weeks. And my daughter, who was coming back from Costa Rica, ended up taking a long time in customs, missed her connecting flight, had to spend the night in Florida, which sort of threw everything else off a bit. And so I had a moment of definitely feeling overwhelmed and feeling like, I don't know if I could do this. But luckily, my husband stepped up and my daughter stepped up, and everyone's getting to where they need to go. But that was kind of a valley for me. It was like, did I need to? But all of these things were great opportunities and we didn't have choices over the scheduling. So I don't think there's another way necessarily to do it all. And we're getting through it. It's happening. We're having a good time, but it has been stressful.
Yeah. Yesterday, you texted me and you were going to pick up Ilea from the airport 30 minutes before you needed to board. I said, no, you cannot do that. So
I wanted to be there when she got back because she had the stressful, 24 hours. But Malika talked some sense into me. She knows that my weakness is time and space. And she said, you cannot be in these two places at the same time. So it was good. It was good. And we worked it out. And she's back home and yeah, everything's
You're in
going as it needs to go.
Good. Well, that brings us to the end. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. What are you going to try this week?
I am going to start to look into poppies. I'm excited about this personal symbol and I want to learn more about it and just look out for it in the world. Malika, what about you?
I am going to watch this Tig Notaro special. Maybe I'll watch it on my flight tonight. I can't wait to just laugh so hard that people are looking at me on the plane.
That's my favorite. Hey, maybe I'll watch it too tonight and then we can talk about it.
That would be fun. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. You can find our show notes in the episode description. If you like us, rate, review, and tell a friend. And don't forget to follow us.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com and tell us something you liked about Happier and Happier in Hollywood this week.
Our show was edited by Magnus Bjorgum, and our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
And we also want to give a special shout out to Gretchen Rubin, Liz Kraft, and Sarah Fain for inspiring our conversation each week.
You can find us on Instagram at happierladies and on the web at happierladies.com. All right, Azizi, have a happier week.
Have a happier week, Malika.
Bye.
Bye. Did you tell me that Gretchen interviewed Tig? Is that right?
I don't think so.
Oh, I made that up. Never mind. Strike that from the record.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.